Okay. All right. My name is Brian Watson. I own a janitorial cleaning company in the DMV area, but I also have an acquisition firm where we actually buy small businesses in the home services and the commercial services, commercial building services space, and we also offer business exit planning services to small business owners.
Nice, nice. You know what? I think people are actually going to like this chat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When you say exit planning, what do you mean by exit planning services?
So generally, when what we're finding now is a lot of baby boomers are going to the market to actually sell the business that they built 20, 30, 10, 15 years ago, because they're either looking to retire, but you also have certain business owners that are also looking to move into something else.
Okay.
So they're looking to sell their business, and we help them prepare their business to sell.
So what does it look like to prepare their business to sell?
So it's entire structure. You know what I mean? So we got to review the operations. You got to review the financials. You got to make sure that the accounting systems are in place. Make sure you're not running too many personal expenses through the business. And if you are, that they're documented.
It's on shareholder loans.
Yeah, you got to make sure everything is in order. So, because when you go to the market, you want to be able to just pull everything and say, here it is, rather than you got to scramble and try to get everything in place.
Yeah. This is mine, but that's not mine. And you just want a packet to kind of hand over.
Exactly.
Now, let's say a company under $1 million, right? How many actually have their house in order to sell?
Like out of 10, maybe one.
Okay. And that's like they have operations. You're saying they have their books in order as well too, or is it mainly they just have their books in order, but they don't have operations or management or anything like that?
So generally, they have maybe like one person in place as like a supervisor. You know, they're not heavily they're not heavy with management, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? The owner's probably still in the business a little bit more, you know, because he doesn't quite have everything completely structured to be able to have the business operate without them 100%.
Yeah.
You know, but they generally also have their financials in place. They have an accountant that does their financials. There's some type of financial strategy as well that's attached to it.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's what a lot of small business owners are missing, is that financial strategy part.
Okay. And then when you sell it, what do you sell it based off? EBITDA?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you explain what EBITDA is? Just go through the acronym for me, because most people I say EBITDA to, it goes right over their head.
Yeah. So EBITDA is earnings before income, taxes, depreciation, and accumulated depreciation.
Yeah. Okay. What is a multiplier they get off of EBITDA? And really, EBITDA is just net minus before those things, right?
Yeah. So EBITDA is essentially your revenue minus your cost of goods sold, minus your operating expenses. Then you add back like your depreciation, your interest, and then so we also do a thing called adjusted EBITDA, where we actually factor in the cost to replace the owner.
Okay.
So we take it a little bit one step further.
So you're factoring in where the owner's gone, and so this key man risk essentially is what it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
The owner's leaving, which the key man is there, and you're factoring putting somebody in so that the business still operates.
Yep.
And goes. So some person's not just buying themselves a job, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So I dropped my mic there. What was the EBITDA a business under $1 million could get?
So it depends on, it goes by industry, actually. Okay. So certain industries are higher than others. For example, the cleaning industry typically goes between the 3 and 4. You can get something higher if you are like a top tier business. Okay. I mean, you got your management systems in place, you got your operations, you got your SOPs, you got your financials in order. There's some type of financial strategy, forecasting, budgeting, you know, doing some type of audit of your systems every quarter or twice a year or something like that. So it really depends on the industry and the actual business.
Okay. So for cleaning business, you say 3 to 4. Now, what if somebody was at 10 million a year in sales? Mm-hmm. EBITDA was roughly 2 million.
Okay.
Right. They had all their house in order. Mm-hmm. Management. Only thing they don't have is, let's say, a CEO to be placed in to replace the owner. Mm-hmm. What would that multiplier go to?
So I actually run it through an entire spreadsheet. You know, so I have to look at what are all the add backs that go associated with it. If there are any takeaways that are associated with it, But generally it will go towards the higher end of the spectrum for the most part. And then it also depends on how you're financing the deal as well, because the business has to be able to comfortably afford it.
Yeah.
If you're taking out a loan, if you're paying cash, that's a whole different story. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You don't really have to worry about the loan that much.
Yeah. So do you find when you sell it to somebody, are you mainly selling it to other maybe small business owners or people that want to get into an industry, or are you selling it to like private equity or these other places?
So private equity, they tend to buy businesses like on the higher end, doing like 8 figures in annual revenue, with those high EBITDA margins. But you generally find like a lot of either small business owners, or you get maybe some employees, that have maybe worked in the cleaning industry for quite a while, and they're like, okay, now I want to own a business, and it's like a huge. I'm not sure if you've seen ads for it, but it's like a huge thing now where people are teaching individuals how to actually buy businesses.
Yeah, they're doing what is it called? Seller financing.
Yeah, so that's another strategy.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you X amount up front, and then I'll pay you X amount for this many years, and then you'll get all your money. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know this game, so if I'm wrong here, let me know.
I know you're fine.
I feel like on private equity and bigger deals, like what we're trying to do is get to 40 million. So we have about 10 million in EBITDA, and then sell it for like a 6 time, because at 10 million EBITDA, the multiplier is definitely going to go up, right? Because you have a lot of wide coverage, CEO and like everything's there. So I want to sell it for like, try to get it for 6 times, maybe 8 at 10 millions, walk away with 60, 80 million. Okay. So that's my goal within the next 5 years. And I'm not going to be able to sell it as a seller financing for that, or a smaller place.
Yeah.
I feel like most people here, what they'd be looking for is more of individual coming along and purchasing it. How hard is it to find somebody to buy a business on the lower scale? Is it easier on the lower scale or easier on the higher scale?
So when you're dealing on the higher scale, private equity, they have a lot more resources, should I say, so it's a lot easier for them to evaluate a deal, because they have teams that do it, and they're able to be able to start spending that capital on that business. Now, when you get to the smaller end, like and smaller companies, I think the best thing to do is use the SBA 7A loan. So the SBA will actually lend you up to $5 million on the deal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you can also get creative. You can also attach seller financing to it as well. You know what I mean?
So, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. Just a small business loan.
Exactly.
Government backed.
Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's typically 10 years. Interest rate is currently trending around 10.5 to 11%. And then it has to be first position to any other loans during that time period. Yeah. So if the seller financing actually has to wait until the end of the loan. They actually just changed that this year. Yeah. So before, they just had to wait 2 years, then you can start paying them back. But with the new administration, they changed it June 1st, where they have to wait until the end of the SBA loan to start getting payments back on that seller financing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's tough. That'd be a tough one. That would be a tough one. Yeah. It's going to knock a lot of seller financing out with the loan. Yeah. A lot of confusion in this industry, especially for smaller businesses, on how you sell your business and what your business is worth. Yeah. So I do coaching for some smaller businesses, and they all think, every single one of them has thought that if you have like a $250,000 or $500,000 company, they'll get 4 times the $500,000 they do in sales. They're like, oh man, I got a $2 million company. And I'm like, no. I'm like, what was your profit last year? He was like, oh, like $100,000. I was like, you got like a $300,000 company. I don't mean to break it to you, or like, I'm like, that's what it's worth. And they're like shook by it. They're like, what do you mean? Like, how is this only worth 300? I'm like, why would somebody, if somebody's only going to make $300,000 a year, why would they pay you $2 million? It's going to take them all their profits. They'll never make a dime. 10, 15 years are, what is it? Like 7 years just to pay it back. And then including attrition or reinvesting into it, or and like they're shook by it, right? Yeah. What would you tell smaller business owners in order to learn so that they accurately know how to do it? Or do you think they should just come along and hire somebody like yourself?
I think they should have somebody that's experienced and that's experienced with it. You know what I mean? To help guide them through the process, because there's so much information and so much that you have to know. It's not a matter of just knowing how to value the business. You know, you got to know how to structure. Make sure your business is properly structured, so when you go to the market, you can get that value that you're looking for, or at least somewhat close to it.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So we were looking at a deal not too long ago. It was a cleaning business in the DMV area. They were doing about $2 million in annual sales, you know, but their EBITDA was like extremely low. They were doing maybe like 200,000 in EBITDA, and then they had a bunch of undocumented ad backs, you know, which probably wouldn't have been accepted through the SBA or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I came back to them and told them, hey, yeah, you're doing 2 million, you want 2 million, but your business is only worth roughly 700,000. And that's if the ad backs are approved. You know, that's a huge gap.
Oh, that's a massive gap.
You know what I mean?
Dude, that is a massive gap.
Yeah. So I think,
How long does it take to fix it?
So typically when you're going to sell your business, look at the last 3 years of your tax returns.
Okay.
So I generally recommend starting 2 to 3 years out before you want to sell it.
Yeah, the goal for us is to sell by 2031.
Okay.
So what we're doing is, let's say 5, 6-ish years, 5.5 years. The next 3 years we're making no money, and I'm like, every dime is like, get to 40, right? No profit, just my salary.
Yeah.
And then 3-year mark hits, we're just, okay, now we're just going to grow by 5%, not 30% anymore, 5-10%, hit huge EBITDA margins, and then sell it so we have some really clean paperwork. Is that a good strategy?
No, I think so. I think so because revenue growth, you know, the business does look attractive. Your EBITDA is consistently growing as well. So your revenue mix is where you don't have like a client that's making up like more than 10%.
Yeah, we got 1,000
total revenue.
Oh,
so you're perfect. You're good.
Yeah, I made that mistake.
Yeah.
I think it was the third year we had a giant client. I'm like, oh, I'm golden. I can sit back. And we lost it. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Exactly.
So I didn't know this at all. I'm like, I almost banbankrupted myself, which I've done many times.
Yeah.
So now, you know, here's another question from my point of view. Would it be best to push for 3 years and then go by 5-10% growth? Or would it be better to just lean on it for 5 years, not show a ton of EBITDA? Obviously, there will be like, it won't be 20, 30%. It'll be probably 15%, but they're getting 30% growth every single year. Which one would they rather have?
I think they would rather have, so they're going to value it based off of the EBITDA.
Okay.
You know, so the EBITDA is essentially your cash flow.
Yeah,
that's what they're most worried about. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not, they don't want to see like any dips in revenue though. They do want to see consistent growth with revenue. But as long as your EBITDA is growing consistently, you know, that's going to get you the highest valuation.
Yeah, it's so tough for me because in like we're growing great. We add about 35 to 40,000 a month of recurring clients that stay 2.5 years every single month.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's huge numbers. And then like next year, we'll go up to 60. And then we're going to we'll push it all the way up to 70 or 80 grand a month. It's just going to be so difficult for me in 3 years to be like, all right.
Yeah.
Now we're going down to 25 grand a month and I'm just going to make a whole bunch of money because it feels so counterproductive to me what somebody would want to buy. If I looked at the cash left over and let's say we're doing 40 million and there was 4 million there.
Yeah.
But the company is growing by 30%. So next year it'd be 50 million and like 5 or 6 million left over. Yeah. I would rather have that because I'm like, oh shit, it's just going to pay for itself on the growth. And then if I ever want to level it off, I can make 15 million in a year.
Yeah.
That's how I would see it. With these other private equity and everything want to see the EBITDA. And it's like, it's just a weird way of thinking to me. I want to see spikes. And really what you have to do is spike, level off, make money.
Yeah.
So they can cover the cash that they're going to be paying for it. Is that really it?
Yeah. Yeah. So private equity, they may also use another method to kind of the business as well. It's like, I think it's like the they use like, I think it's called like the market approach. You actually can use forecasted numbers to value the business. You know,
I'd like that better.
Yeah. Yeah, you can use forecasted numbers to actually get a much higher valuation. You know, and I think that's good for bigger businesses as well.
Okay, perfect. You know, I don't have any other questions for you. Where can we find you?
So you can actually find me on my website at www.victorium. That's VICTORIAM enterprises.com. I think that's the best bet for now.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you very much for sitting down with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Absolutely.